So, Saturday I went to a convention, and I actually cosplayed as Constantine, but real quick before I get into the review, everyone, like, half the people knew who I was, but the other half of the people going to the con thought I was Castiel from Supernatural. And I had to, like, oh no, I'm Constantine, not Castiel. I got that so many times, but thankfully a good number of people knew who I was. So, I think the fake cigarette helped. Anyway, this was one of the few things I got at the convention. I didn't really get a lot, but yeah, this was one of the things I got, and yeah, so this is Jango Fett Open Seasons. Now, this is a Dark Horse Star Wars comic that is the origin, or was the, I guess, for some reason, I don't know what they're keeping in canon with Jango, in Disney, but this is the Dark Horse, previous EU, origin story of Jango Fett. And there's a lot of stuff in here that is very clear that Dave Filoni read this comic and cherry-picked a lot of it. It's not only for Clone Wars, but for Rebels as well. Like, there is a ton of shit in here that was used for both Clone Wars and Rebels. So, what was I gonna say? Where was I going with this? I'm sorry, I'm just so scatterbrained right now. So the story is, it's a 4-part comic, and it is set 10 years before the events of Attack of the Clones. And this is mostly stories of the origin of Jango Fett, and how he became, the bounty hunter we know him to be, and also when he took over, when Dooku, when he joined Dooku, and, the whole clone army began. So, yeah, it's also really cool, because this is also a neat little Dooku story, because there isn't a lot of comics out there of Dooku during his days as a Jedi. And for those of you who know about Jango and Count Dooku, is that they both met on Gilderon. Gilderon was the last straw for Dooku after he left. That was the breaking point for him leaving the Jedi Order. He was the Jedi, and because there was a ton of them. Dooku was a Jedi Master going with a bunch of Jedi to this planet called Gilderon that was, quote-unquote, under siege by the Mandalorians. And what had happened was that Governor was really working for a guy named Vizsla, who was the head of this group called Death Watch. Of course, we know in new continuity, Clan Vizsla was in charge of Death Watch, and they were a terrorist group among the Mandalorians. But however, this version of Vizsla was this guy who just wants to destroy the Mandalorians who are loyal to their leader, Jaster Mareel, who was like the adopted father of Jango after Jango's family was murdered by Vizsla. Also in here, we get a mention of Concord Dawn, which in here, Concord Dawn was I believe, a planet, or I think if I remember right, that was the planet that was Jango, it was the place of birth, before Jaster took him in after, Vizsla massacred his family, and from there, I think the story writes for itself. So this is a 4-part comic told in different seasons. First issue is done in summer, next is fall, then winter, then finally spring. And all of it is told from different perspectives. Like, the story of the first issue is told in a story between Dooku and Palpatine. The second issue is told to Dooku by one of Jango's old teammates during his time with the other Mandalorians. Third issue is told by Dooku of the Battle of Gilderon, and the final issue is told by Jango himself. And that issue talks about how Jango escaped capture. Because at the end of the Gilderon story, he was captured by the governor and made into a slave until he finally broke out and sought vengeance. So you could say Jango was unchained. Hey! Yeah. So the thing with this comic is that this is a very action-packed story. Even though it's 4 issues, I think it's a really nice little comic. I will admit that the final issue of this comic just goes by really fast. Like, Jango basically says, oh yeah, I was a slave for years until I finally broke out of a prison ship. And it's only done in a few panels, but there's some great action in here. There's just some great, brutal action in this comic. I especially love the storyline between, you know, the Battle of Gilderon, which, like I said, that was the last time, you know, that was kind of the breaking point for Dooku, of him leaving the Jedi Order and eventually finding his way to Darth Sidious. It was also the place where his other apprentice, Kumari Vosa, lost her mind and became the cult leader of, oh, I'm trying to remember their name. It was a death cult. Oh man, it's it's killing me now. Oh, god damn it. I'm trying to remember because I know, because I've read it so many times and now it's fucking killing me. Of what Kumari vote, and you fight it in the game. You fight it in the Jango Fett game. You fight them in the, in the Jango Fett game. Oh, the Bandogora. That's it. The Bandogora. It took me forever to remember that name. Yeah, Kumari Vosa became the head of the Bandogora, which are a death cult in the Star Wars universe. I don't know if they're still around in the new EU, but in the previous they were. And from what I'm told, that this has some this comic has some ties to the Jango Fett game, which is awesome if you've ever played it. That game is fucking awesome. See, yeah, go find that. That's a rarity. Anyway, so it's a quick comic, but it's a fun comic. It delivers a nice little origin story. It gives you a ton of action. I think that this is a lot of Star Wars fans, especially fans of the Fett family, consider this a favorite, and I can understand why. The moment I saw this comic in one of the bins, I was like, "Oh, this is coming home with me." There's no doubt. This is coming home with me. And it does really paint a brutal, visceral picture for Jango and why he became the way he is, and it gives a very interesting look of why he wanted Boba to be made. You know, it's a very I don't know if I want to spoil that end for you, but this is a violent comic. If you're a fan of Jango Fett as much as you are Boba Fett, which is kind of fun because a lot of the armor that Jango wears in this comic is very reminiscent to Boba Fett's armor. You don't even see the blue and silver armor, the silver and blue armor until the final issue, really. So I think this is really cool. Again, if you are a fan of the Fett family, I would say check this out. This is a load of fun. It's a quick read, though. It's going to be hard to get unless you can find it. Like, I just got lucky finding it for half off. It's $12. Although I imagine online it's probably a hefty price because the Dark Horse comics the Star Wars Dark Horse comics are slowly becoming relics to find. So, you know, good luck with that. But yeah, I got lucky and got it for $6 along with an omnibus. Well, not really omnibus, a collected edition of the early Gail Simone Secret Six run, which I'll be reviewing in Story Arcs. Maybe, I don't know. But yeah, so I hope you all enjoyed this review, and you guys tell me, if you've read Jango Fett Open Seasons, what did you guys think of it? Just comment below, let me know, and once again, hope you all enjoyed this, and I will see you guys later.